Welcome to The Sound, KQAL FM's weekly behind-the-scenes look at Midwestern-made music. From writing and recording to distribution and promotion, The Sound is your source for new releases and exclusive interviews from Midwestern artists. Support for The Sound is made possible by a grant from the Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund. Rolling. Tonight on The Sound, we bring you Sugar, the debut album from Minneapolis Fenix Dion. Their album Sugar brings a fresh perspective to the genre of guitar-driven rock music while honoring a wide range of influences. Personally, I first heard Fenix Dion live at Midwest Music Fest in La Crosse in September of 2022, and they caught my ear immediately. They reminded me of so much, but nothing specific that I could put my finger on, as they effortlessly blended their influences into their own brand of expressive rock. While I stood watching the band with my jaw half open, two names did pop into my head: Lenny Kravitz and Jeff Buckley. So I'm going to leave it at that and let you make up your own mind. Here's KQAL's Tobias Waters with Fenix Dion to check out their debut album Sugar, tonight on The Sound.
Hey, you're listening to 89.5 KQAL. That was Fenix by Fenix Dion from Minneapolis. And Fenix Dion is in the studio with us tonight. How you guys doing?
We're doing fine. How about yourself?
Doing great. So very nice to have you guys here. I'm going to jump right into the questions here and ask, what got you guys started in music? Like, what are your guys' background, I should say, in music before you guys met each other?
Well, my mom tells me I was singing Usher at the age of 3, and it's kind of just been something I've always been doing.
Okay, yeah.
Green Day got me playing guitar as a young buck, and it's been, I don't know, since I was 9 years old, just playing guitar and playing in bands at 13.
So would you say Green Day was a pretty big influence in Prince and that kind of like rock kind of, pop rock?
At the beginning, when you're a young buck, that was what everybody was listening to.
That's true, yeah.
When I was that age, yeah. I wouldn't necessarily put on Now or American Idiot now in any way, shape, or form, but I might bust it out in the middle of like a rehearsal just to get a nice little chuckle from everybody.
Oh, for sure, yeah. And how about you? What kind of got your...
Yeah, I can relate to Keston with Green Day. I feel like I agree that Green Day, at least kind of in the age we grew up in the later 90s and early 2000s, definitely when learning an instrument, Green Day really was kind of felt like a rite of passage. I think that's kind of because of the simplicity of their guitar or the drums. So Green Day definitely sparked a lot for me. But I'd say my influence really was more local music, local drummers, some of which I was friends with. Shout out Kate Cuthbert. Honestly, Kate Cuthbert, my dear friend, really was the person who sparked my interest because she had learned how to play the drums. And so being close with her allowed me to also be close with her on drums, and I feel like that really sparked something in me. But yeah, your question was asking prior to us meeting, kind of how music began for us. But there was a couple chapters before me and Keston met and started to collaborate. But I really, at this point, 17 years later, since starting to play drums, it really feels like Keston's been part of my creative venture with music really since the start. So yeah,
that's awesome. Well, what brought you guys together?
Our bands overlapped at the garage in Burnsville.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, bless the garage. It's still chugging along. But yeah, like so many other people, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if you've had other bands interviewed on this station who at least referenced the garage, if not shared that that was kind of the origin of, them meeting who they now collaborate with. So that's my answer with regards to how me and Keston met. He also did, he came to my high school. I went to South High School in South Minneapolis. Yeah, after meeting him briefly at a show at the garage and certainly being intrigued by this oddball and talented oddball, Keston Wright, ironically, I mean, this is some universe stuff. Ironically, he suddenly ends up in my high school doing some, I think it was like a bully theme, anti-bully, excuse me.
Play about bullying.
Yes.
I was a bully, bro.
So you played a bully in the play for anti-bullying then? So you were the bad guy, the villain.
I got dropped in the play. Like I got my butt handed to me.
Oh wow.
We'll say it that way since you're gonna put it on the radio. But yeah, it was a nice empowering thing for kids.
So that's my nutshell, kind of me and Keston first meeting. Yeah.
That's awesome. So then so you guys met, and then what kind of brought you on to, actually working together? Like you guys obviously, from what I did see online, you guys, recorded and, started, really brought the band together in 2020. Am I right?
Yeah, this band, but.
Oh, man, okay. So you guys have had
the amount of bands that Sam and I have put together, just playing in a basement and then tagging someone else or 2 other people on. And like from the age, we've been doing that since we were like 17, 18.
Awesome.
So about 8 years of just like random things like Riverside and this band called Mango, and we've just been going at it.
Don't you avoid the one prior to those.
Oh, I'm not.
I'll say it because he can't. But I mean, anyone who's listening who knows me and/or Keston is definitely waiting for us to reference the first project we did, which was shortly after meeting at the garage. Was a band called Give It Up with 2 other friends, Andre Mooring and Josh Swiven. And I mean, again, your original question was what kind of really not only introduced us together, but kind of how did the music start? And I'd say it was just similar interest in music, and also I definitely could recognize his passion and excitement to not only play music but also perform. And then that kind of really had that platform of that first band me and Keston did together that was titled Give It Up. So R.I.P.
Yes, yeah.
But not really. That's we're thank God we're not doing that.
Yeah,
thank God you guys got Fenix at this point and not Give It Up. If it was the other way around, well, we wouldn't be talking on a radio station.
Well, hey, I think every step of the way is obviously very important for you guys, and you guys are obviously about to break a big milestone. So,
I hope. Fingers crossed. Thank you.
Of course. We're going to jump into the next song here. Yeah, and then, the next song that we're going to be playing here is also another one of my favorites from it was Snake Eyes. Mm-hmm. So we're going to jump into that song, folks. This is 89.5 KQAL. Here is Snake Eyes. That was Snake Eyes by Fenix Dion. They are in the studio with us right now. Welcome back. Tell us a little bit about that song.
Snake Eyes is a song about trying to find luck and hoping that karma is on your side and really hoping that things come together eventually. And the gamble that we all live day to day of the goals we want to make and the dreams that we want to have, the things that we want to have for our future selves. And just holding on to hope in some way. Snake Eyes is really the embodiment of kind of a desperate hope that I guess a lot of artists find themselves in. And maybe that translates to people who aren't making art, but
yeah,
hopefully.
I think that's a great statement on that. I would agree with that a lot. Take me through the writing process, not just with this song, but with your whole album. Do you guys write together?
Oh, we'll jam a lot. And usually in a 2.5 hour, 3 hour jam, we'll come up with 3 or 4, 5, 6, sometimes on a good day, like 8 or 7 or 8 good ideas.
Wow.
And we'll
I wish I had that kind of success with my brainstorming.
We are pretty diverse musicians in what we listen to and what we're able to play and sort of the colors and the sonics that we want to go, we want to work on and listen to. So every once in a while, we'll just go through all the different colors that we want to dive into. And sometimes it's a really good day and sometimes it falls flat and then we work on some things.
I honestly, I'm so grateful. I just have to cut Keston off and say, as far as I'm concerned, 90% of the time, like regardless of how our day personally has been going, I hope you'd agree with me. Let's drop it down to 80%. 80% of the time, a good amount of fresh stuff comes out. Maybe 20% of the time it kind of falls flat, but even then it's still me and Keston, sharpening our craft, and it's still practice. I mean, that's what's so cool about jamming with people is, I guess I'll describe it as 2 birds, 1 stone. You're not only practicing your instrument, but you're also potentially working towards the birth of some song that you're actually going to flesh out more, and finish up. And actually drop. So we definitely also comment that key to the writing is, iPhones these days, maybe all smartphones, but my apologies, but me and Keston both use Apple iPhones. But regardless, it's always really important for one of us to press record on the voice memo app. And it's incredible how decent those recordings are these days. On an old iPhone, it wouldn't have worked. It would have been very blown out. But these days, it really it's not blown out. It's easy to listen to. And so every time we go into the studio and jam, we press record, and we know that everything's been documented. So it's easy to kind of go back and reference any moments we feel like there was something, happening. So that's typically it. And usually, almost entirely, it's usually just me and Keston. I feel like that's another rule that we've found works really, really well, which is, not too many voices, and really instruments in the room. I suppose the metaphor is, too many cooks in the kitchen.
Too many cooks?
Oh, okay. So that's the corgi. The corgi. Yes. My apologies.
They're just trying to get in the interview too. I understand that.
That wasn't me or Keston, just to be clear. So I think that's also worth mentioning that it's just me and Keston, and it kind of works best that way. We know some really, really incredible, talented people other musicians, but man, Keston can play every instrument other than drums. That's why I'm here. So we're okay with if we got a room full of instruments, just me and him. And I think it's made the writing a lot easier. Would you agree with that, Keston?
Well, I'd say what we end up doing most of those times, and when it's just 2 people, we're really like honing in on the skeleton of a song and making sure that something is melodic and rhythmic and super simple with just a drum set and one instrument, because I'm either playing bass and the bass is the driver, or I'm playing guitar and the chord progressions are the driver of the song. And just keeping it simple, keeping it really, really cut and dry, and then adding things that accentuate it in my room, where I record everything into my laptop and the Ableton and mix it there as well, and then send it off to Zach Zern out at Carpet Booth in Rochester. So
shout out Zach. I feel like Carpet Booth is based in Winona, though.
No.
Really? Have you heard of Carpet Booth, Tobias?
I have, and I'm not sure where they are located. Either it looks like they're located in Rochester. I looked it up here. You are correct.
No.
Keston's right for a change.
Got facts on facts, man. Don't hold me back.
I do want to highlight Keston referenced another key trick of ours is, or it's not something we came up with. I feel like we were inspired by other musicians that we appreciate about that whole rule of less is more. And every other band I've done, whether it was a band with Keston or not with Keston and other people, this is the first one I feel like that was a real commitment of ours when working on these songs and trying to, flesh out the demos more. And I think that's part of what's made the music on Sugar the way that it is. It is more simple than complicated, and I think that really makes it more enjoyable to listen to and easier to finish that type of song too.
For sure. Yeah. That was fantastic. I mean, just your guys' process and stuff. You guys, it sounds, obviously very professional. I think that's really going to do, you guys a lot of favors in the future for sure. I mean, it's, and not just in terms of professional as in traditional, but like you guys have such a good connection, obviously, that, it's not as much of a chore that I think a lot of musicians feel like they have to go through to make music.
If I need drums, it's Sam. Sam's the guy for drums, always.
For sure. That's awesome. We're going to jump into the next song here, guys. You're listening to 89.5 KQAL. Here is Pain and Fear.
Sometimes it's tough. Like, sometimes it's hard to get out of bed. But when you do, like, when you just go out in the world, to me, that's real, that's true courage. Like, every day is a battle. I know that. But I mean, to choose to live, that in itself is crazy. I stay me.
Hey, this is 89.5 KQAL. That was Pain and Fear. That was Pain and Fear. I've got Fenix Dion in the studio. Welcome back. Tell me a little bit about that song.
That's definitely more Keston's track than mine.
So, Pain and Fear, man, when I was writing that thing, lyrically, it's talking about, man, we're going to get really deep here real quick.
Go for it. Please do.
Pain and Fear is literally about how men, people who see themselves as men and see themselves in a world as men, are held back by their pain and fear to let themselves open up emotionally. And I've seen how masculinity, you can call it toxic, feel free. I understand completely how it destroys people over time. I have a very abusive father who has done some crazy, horrible things in his lifetime to most of the people that he has interacted with. And I know that he comes from a childhood that was completely surrounded by pain and fear and trauma and abuse and just a life that no one really deserves. And he came out of it in a lot of ways a monster because he wasn't able to address the pain and the fear and the trauma and the abuse that he had dealt with his upbringing. And Pain and Fear is acknowledging that and hopefully breaking through that cycle and acknowledging the work that we all need to do, especially as men, because we continually are the causers of a lot of pain and abuse to people around us because of our physicality, because of the power given to us by society, because of quite a few reasons.
The lizard brain.
Yeah. That's what that song's really about. But sonically, I was trying to hit some like old Neptune stuff during the chorus and doing something a little bit more current on the verse. Yeah, I wanted to do something that seemed more like a pop track from the current day, as close as I could get it, even though I listened to like only 70s, 80s, and 90s music.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, that's what it is.
For sure. So when you guys are recording, take us through the process of actually recording. So you guys have, banged it out, you wrote it, everything down, and when you go into the studio, you're going to a studio, you at home? It sounds like you're going to a studio and at Carpet Booth, correct?
It sounds like it, but I'm gonna toot Keston's horn here. It's all, at least with the Sugar record, that was all Keston's ability and skill set, which you didn't necessarily have prior to Sugar, or at least it wasn't on the level it is now. But I guess because of the excitement with the demos we had been writing, Keston was a shining example of, in this modern day, the amount YouTube can be of help. And so
yeah,
as far as I'm concerned, with this record at least, that was the recording process, was all Keston telling me, where to be and when, really, which was his basement. And that was really all Keston. Wow. Kind of That's working awesome. Off of a pretty, down to earth DIY kind of setup. Is that appropriate to say?
Yes, definitely DIY, but I'm also kind of I want the best of the best. I don't have preamps on preamps, but the good preamps that I use are of quality, and I like good speakers and I like really good headphones. But yeah, we just record the drums in the basement, and I usually work with just a few loops of a drum to really get the structure of a song down.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just start fiddling away, seeing what fits, seeing what doesn't, really trying to find the grooves of the puzzle and seeing what fits in, and make sure that everything rings true to what Sam's doing and I don't change what he's doing at all, really. There may be a moment where, like, there was a bridge for, I think it was Morals, where I just take a fill that he did and I'm like, okay, no, that's actually going to be the whole bridge looped, just because it had it had the charge that bridge needed. So,
that's awesome. Yeah,
literally just a drum loop, and I kind of produce it like a hip hop record, because I'd worked on a few tracks for hip hop artists in Chicago, and I was working with a guy who was doing a lot of that stuff. So it kind of overlapped into my workflow now.
And is another different lane added to this whole mix. I feel like it is true that loop, that looping you got into with the drum takes I was doing, does add that kind of hip hop, element, as well as some of the playing in itself, of course, with the drums. But I would say, I mean, thinking out loud right now during this interview with you, Tobias, I do feel like that's definitely worth acknowledging. And once somebody listens to a couple of these songs, if not the whole record, knowing that, I feel like you can definitely recognize it in there, but not in a bad way. I think it actually,
it's pretty subliminal.
And if anyone had a problem with it, it would be me, because here I am doing these takes, and for some of these songs, Keston took 10 seconds of a 2-minute long take. But I think, if anything, I'm probably the biggest fan of it, because I think it did add an interesting, again, very simple, less is more, kind of feel to the full record, start to finish.
That is awesome. So, kind of just continuing on how things are going as you record, like you're saying, how do you feel your tunes end up evolving as you're recording? Like, do you see, you go in with an idea, and as you're playing, that you kind of change gears? Does that kind of happen for you guys?
Are you talking like current day, what we're writing right now?
Yeah, for Sugar specifically, yeah.
Oh, for Sugar. I really just work on what feels good in the moment. For like a track like Breathe, I knew I wanted this super chaotic, almost Kendrick Lamar thing, and I had this idea in my head of like, I want these colors and these tones and this energy, and to outline this despair and this sort of spinning vortex, and to be able to kind of put that energy into the sonics and the textures that I put on drums, or the guitars, whatever it may be. There's always something new that I want to try. And a lot of times I feel like I miss the mark unless I sit on it long enough, or as long as Sam's like, it's so good, G, you gotta go back to it. You gotta find time, G, and just work on the music.
More of a hype man than a drummer.
I mean, you're sounding more like you're Jerry Seinfeld in that situation, really. I mean, that voice was very Seinfeldy.
Yeah, I'm a mix of a lot of characters, but it is so true.
That's awesome. So you guys are very open-minded as you record. I know that can set a lot of musicians back, as to not being able to you have one idea and you won't move on from it, and it can destroy music, so it's awesome that.
I think if anything, we've got the opposite problem, which is more or less, it's got its ups and its downs, but I feel like at least Keston, who is kind of, at the end of the day, the real sculptor of the music, you're very quick to move on. And the good thing is we have plenty of things to move on to. The collection of, semi worked on demos it almost seems endless at this point, which again is a good problem to have. But I don't think we get stuck on things. I think it's the opposite. We just kind of maybe should spend more time, but either we're really hyped about other ideas we have, or we just recognize that it's just we're not grooving with that in that moment, and it might be best to move on and try and find something that is kind of speaking to us that day.
Yeah. It's fantastic.
Well, one of my problems for sure is I am a flip-flopper. I am very indecisive, and there's moments where I want to make a record like Bill Withers, This Is Bill. It's a super calm, unbelievably simple record. Great songs on it, great songwriting, great rhythms and flow through the whole entire thing. And then I want to make a record like Fuzz's 2 record that's just gnarly, and you can like break down a motorcycle to it, and it's chugging through, and it's in your face and chaotic and distorted and loud. And then there's days where I'm like, I wish I was Tyler the Creator and nobody else. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure.
So
I call him Flip Flop sometimes. He's such a flip flopper that's probably the best one of many nicknames I have for Keston, but that's probably the most fitting. So much so that, as I've promised him, if we ever find success, his version of one of those kind of gold chains that successful musicians waste their money on, his version of that's going to be this big glittery flip flop, which
I totally work.
You're down for. So this
that
is flip flop.
That would be some awesome bling. I mean, that would be fantastic.
Call him flip flop from now on.
Flip flop.
There you go.
I like it. All right, we're gonna jump into the next song here on 89.5 KQAL. This is Sugar, which is also the name of the album. Hey, this was 89.5 KQAL. We are back in the studio with Fenix Dion. That was Sugar, which also is the name of your album. Now, let's really dive into, the album is, what inspired for one, inspired you guys to, really kick off this album. Obviously, with so many iterations of different bands that you guys have done together, what made you decide that this was the one?
Well, honestly, we didn't know until someone told us that it was the one. Because I made this record to cope with the life that I was living in that space and time, and it was my way of really having a conversation with myself of the things that I needed to change and the problems that I saw within myself and the problems that I had accumulated over my time of developing and becoming a grown man, I guess. Mm-hmm. And I really made a record to be therapy for myself. And then Mark Gehring, our manager, was like, yo, this is really good. And I was like, well, it was kind of a process to make, pretty in a lot of different ways. So
I want to say that I appreciate your question, Tobias. I actually just made a post on our band's Instagram today, and this was kind of the general theme of the caption. I think it was the fact that we didn't begin with that expectation. And I think it's really interesting for me to reflect back on all these other bands I've done, which, tried to tackle, a serious pursuit of music in a variety of different ways. Each one was different in its own way. Some were really, really casual, which is its own proper, respectable attitude to have when trying to build a band and do whatever with it. But I really think, again, I appreciate your question, that the trick with this was there wasn't that expectation as to, we need to hunker down during quarantine. Mm-hmm. And just, we need to write the music for, I feel like that's almost, it's just that putting that kind of pressure on yourself as a striving musician. I feel like I encourage more musicians, any musicians listening, to try and do that. But it's kind of, once you try, it kind of loses its authenticity, its organicness. Mm-hmm. So in a way, I mean, these are my thoughts, not necessarily Keston's, but almost a matter of luck that we just recognized after doing multiple bands together and really just getting along as people. Yeah. That we just wanted to get creative again and play music just to play music. But I think because of that, there was no expectations other than just enjoying spending time with each other and playing music. That was one of the real ingredients that led to the music that ended up occurring, if that makes sense.
No, that makes perfect sense. That's I love that was how, oh my God, English is hard. I love that is how that evolved and especially with the, being told, especially by Mark, who, if you want to shout him out too, he's a pretty big influential person here at KQAL with, Charlie Parr and stuff too. We've done a lot of work with him involving that. That, he told you guys that was, that this could, this was a good album, and so I like that it went from, therapy, which I love that, that phrase, the music is therapy for a lot of people, and that you did it yourself. I mean, you made your own music to be your own therapist, and now it's this album that's debuting, and so, by the time this airs, your album would have been out for a little bit, but the drop date is the 23rd, am I correct?
The 23rd is the show we're really hyped about at 7th Street Entry, but the 21st is going to be the release this Friday.
21st. Okay, awesome. Okay. Yeah, so by the time this airs, it will have been out, and your music will be in our station the day it drops. And so, our audiences would have probably already heard a couple of songs by the time this airs. So kind of a fun little thing on that. But what's where do you see this, Fenix Dion going? Or where do you see Fenix Dion going?
I really try not to look at stuff like that, to be honest.
It kind of goes against the whole how you guys made your album.
I can only really think about like, okay, when's the next gig? Who needs to be there? What do they need to have so they can do the job that they need to get done? Because we hire in musicians, because I'm straight up like, I love musicianship and I love hiring musicians and making being a musician. I want being a musician to be something that you can actually thrive off of. It's making me broke, but oh my God, I'm never going to change it. I'm never going to change it.
That's awesome.
So I really have no idea. I didn't expect for this record to have the attention that it does now. I didn't expect for this record to have the respect that it does now. I didn't imagine this record bringing me to the place that Sam and I are at right now, and planning a CD release at 7th Street and knowing that it's going to be a great time, and excited to pull in 4 additional people to help pull it together. And it's all kind of something I couldn't even dream of. So
I agree with Keston, but I'll also say some easy answers are way more music, way more consistently, ideally way more shows, because I mean, for me, that's my favorite part of this is performing on stage and playing live.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
But I definitely add those 2 things, but yeah, just try and represent the Twin Cities and make the Twin Cities proud. Keston's from St. Paul. I'm from Minneapolis. So really just strive.
Yeah, you're really representing both sides of the Twin Cities, really.
I'd like to think so, yeah, but I mean, that's up for debate. But I hope most people, as they get introduced to Fenix, believe that we kind of are doing a proper job of doing so.
Yeah.
And can kind of support us for even just that reason in itself. So
for sure. That is fantastic. Well, guys, thank you so much for being here, and this has been a great interview. Again.
Thank you, Tobias, thank you. Thank you, KQAL.
Perfect. Thank you. Got it right. Perfect. Yeah, heck yeah.
You've been looking for the stripe, but you can't find no peace of
Thanks again to Fenix Dion for joining us tonight on The Sound. To hear more from Fenix Dion, check them out at FenixDion.com. For more deep dives into local and regional albums, tune into The Sound every Wednesday night at 6 right here on 89.5 KQAL. You can also listen to past episodes on The Sound on your favorite streaming services. Find links at KQAL.org. I'm Bill Stoneberg, and we've just got a taste of sugar from Fenix Dion on The Sound. Thanks for listening to The Sound. The Sound is produced by KQAL-FM on the campus of Winona State University. Visit us online at KQAL.org. Theme music for The Sound provided by Mike Terrell of Fires of Denmark.